Hello, everybody. Welcome to Film Family. And today we are going to be reviewing The Mandalorian Chapter 2. The Child is what it's called. And so this is definitely an episode that ties directly into the first one and, what happens and entails in that episode. And I think this is a solid follow-up. I don't think it's quite as good as the first one, but I think it's another one of those things that makes me appreciate the show and how just, different it is from a lot of the traditional Star Wars we're used to.
Yeah, love the music, by the way. I think even for the intro and the way it flows and stuff, I think it almost surpasses Star Wars. Like it's earned its own kind of show place. You know what I mean? Like I really like when it starts, and I could see it becoming like one of those things where it's like when the title comes on, people lose their minds. I really like how they showed more of the world. I was a little disappointed that they kind of spent another episode on that planet. And because with the Clone Wars, they kind of just explore different things. Yeah. But I like how they had the mud horn, which I thought was a great name for the monster, and the way it kind of came out. The way they showed are they sand people? The Utinis?
The Jawas.
The Jawas, when they're eating the egg. I thought that was really cool. And again, so I was just showing James and Jonathan the first Star Wars, A New Hope. And it's interesting because the Jawas are also in that. And obviously, there's a difference in the technology and the camera they use, but they built those sets of the big Sandcrawler Fortress, and when they're next to it, and they did the same thing in the original Star Wars, and I just think it makes it so good. It makes it very realistic, like you're almost there.
It was really cool to see the Jawas again, this space scavengers.
Yes, with the red eyes, they did them so well, I think.
Yeah, and I think they've been, kind of a staple of Star Wars, like one of the most recognizable alien races, and it was really cool. And again, one of the things I love about the show is it exists in a very lived-in world, as Star Wars should be. It's such a vast universe, and so for the show to be kind of showing just how lived in the world is with all the different races, and they got the eggs. There's probably a whole lore there too with that the cave and whatnot. It's just very interesting, and I like that about the show.
Yeah, I mean the show is off to a great start. This is episode 2. It's actually shorter, but I don't know. The time didn't really bother me. I thought it would, but it actually didn't. But I'm in for the ride. I mean, I love what's going on here. I love the lore of Star Wars if it's done right, and it seems like this is done with a lot of love and care. This is Jon Favreau's second one that he's written. I think he writes the whole thing.
I think he did 6 out of 8 episodes.
Oh, he did? Okay.
I could be wrong. But
yeah, and so far I'm liking what he's doing. It's just... we're in good hands with him, I feel.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about, or at least most important things about Star Wars writing is that you never try to make it like other movies. People don't talk in the same way that, in the Star Wars universe as they do today. And so when you get sharp dialogue, you don't always want that in Star Wars. And the way he has written the dialogue, I think it sounds, important, and it sounds very authentic to Star Wars.
Now, I was kind of thinking about this. Do you think it's better that Disney's doing it on a weekly basis per episode, or is it smarter for them should they release every episode and you just binge it? Well, because it's a very direct continuation of the story, right?
Well, I think not every episode will be that direct. Like, for instance, I definitely think next episode will not be that direct. But I was going to say that, I think, for that business strategy, it's obviously smarter because there's going to be literally thousands, maybe millions of people who get a free trial, watch all 8 episodes in a day or two, and then that's it. And some of those people might be coming to Disney Plus exclusively for that show, and so when you're a streaming service, you have to think about stuff like that. And free trials are pretty dangerous sometimes.
I also like how we can talk about it every week, as opposed to if you binge it, it's like everyone's not at the same level, and everyone's, some people can be just starting while others have watched it all. Yeah. So I kind of like that aspect of it too. We're all kind of on equal footing here.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, if you have, if we're talking about showing we're watching it and I had something to do tomorrow, but you didn't have anything, so you could have watched more episodes than me. And I'm like, dude, I just watched that. And he's like, oh, did you see the thing after that where he died? It's like, it's a danger of binging and releasing it all at once. But I enjoy that the show's being released weekly, but I also think too that this episode, like I said, was very explicitly tied in with the previous episode. Whereas I think other episodes would be they might do it in sort of that 2 format. They might do it kind of like the Clone Wars, even where it would be 1 through 4 episode arcs type of thing. Okay. So I think they can go through a lot of different avenues, and maybe they'll have a central idea, playing throughout the show where the Mandalorian is trying to reach. But yeah, I also think too, like you said, the music's really good. I love seeing Kirill again. I have spoken. Yeah. Once he said that the last time, I was like, I'll miss this guy. Maybe he'll come back later. And
I almost wish that he did join his team. You know what I mean? Because that would build an interesting dynamic. But they probably knew what they had, and they were like, maybe we'll bring him.
Maybe
in
they're
later.
setting something up. Yeah. And I think that he was a solid addition. You know, I really like that scene at the nighttime with the rain. It just looked like a movie.
At the what?
Dude, when he was talking to him at nighttime in the rain.
Oh,
fixing
yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool, and I enjoyed that scene. And like I said, the cinematography for the show is really high quality.
The scene, that reminds me, actually, speaking of the scene where the Mandalorian is coming up between those rocks when he's walking, that was a great shot.
Oh,
You know, like, I don't even know how you found that location for that, but that was a really good shot. I like that a lot.
Do you guys think that you have to be a Star Wars fan to appreciate this?
I mean, not
No.
from the
Because
most
we're
explicit
talking
sense.
and we're like talking. It's almost like geek speak in a way because we're talking Star Wars language to a lot of people. Like to
Definitely.
people watching this, are they going to be like, "Oh, I can't get into that because I feel like I'm lost already"?
okay.
No, and I'll tell you why. I can tell you why, okay? Because
Yeah.
James and Jonathan have never seen a Star Wars movie ever. They don't know any of the stuff. They know the obvious stuff that everybody talks about. Never seen a movie, but they watched the episode before even watching A New Hope or any of the Star Wars stuff, and they liked it and were excited to see
Nice.
the next episode.
There you go.
know,
Yeah.
A, what he just said, but B, like, I don't know necessarily why you would watch this without seeing the previous Star Wars movies. Like, you know, or like, because I think you'll definitely enjoy it more. That baby, you know, I'm just going to call him Yiddle, because that's what people have been calling him.
Yiddle?
His official
Little
name.
Yoda?
Yeah. They call him
Yiddle? I like it.
But let's just say
He's
for
so
Yiddle,
cute
like
too, by the
that
way.
scene
I'm
would
gonna talk about that.
scene would be devalued, you know, and it would just mean less to you if you didn't like know
didn't-
why
yeah.
it hit, like that Yoda's race was so mysterious and why that was a big deal.
I wouldn't frame it like it means less, though. Because I think it means more to you if you've watched it.
Yeah.
But if you haven't watched it, I don't think it's any less important
but
because he's still the
let's say
objective
for
of
argument,
the Mandalorian.
no, yeah, it's maybe not less important from a plot perspective, but let's say you're watching that, you're like, oh, cool, a baby. That's it, you know.
Yeah,
that's all.
But
it
in
means
the
to you.
beginning of like the first Star Wars, you know what I mean? Oh, cool, a farm boy.
Exactly,
Like you have
but
to
I'm saying,
build with it.
Now that you've done that, and now that that's been like culturally important, now it's like, well, that's just what we're used to, and that's in our heads. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that like if you have seen the Star Wars movies, that baby means a whole lot more.
Oh,
you know?
definitely,
Same thing as like if you watched the originals without the prequels, or vice versa, or sequels, or anything else. Like everything gains value in Star Wars because.
And if you only watch the
supplements
Disney
each
ones,
other.
like you completely messed up.
Do you think it could be backwards though? Like if you like watch Mandalorian,
I don't think
and
you should
then
watch Mandalorian before the movies.
Definitely not.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of what the boys are doing, James and Jonathan.
Well, it might be.
But they're also watching the movies at the same time,
Okay.
so like they can keep the timeline separate.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. But I think you
should
still enjoy it.
technically
It's
watch-
definitely
You
more.
should definitely watch the movies.
It's not the
first.
same thing. Like I was saying, it's a lot more Western and kind of slower in some ways. And that was something I really liked about this episode too. Like we saying, the music was great, but it used a lot more silence, which you're not used to in Star Wars. Star Wars is always there's either something one of those iconic sound effects from Star Wars, or there's some John Williams music accompanying something. So for kind of just silence, I at first was like, I don't even know how I feel about this just watching it. But after I started, was like, I appreciate that this even exists because pretty much all of the Star Wars will have some sort of music or sound effects to accompany it. But some, just pure silence is something I appreciate in Star Wars because it doesn't come around often.
And I have another, like, it's more about the story kind of line of it. I thought the Mandalorian was pretty indestructible because he took that blaster to the chest and stuff like that. But that Mudhorn did a number on his
even the
breastplate.
jaw,
Like, it really messed him up. So,
Yeah.
do you like that? Do you not like
That's
that? Like, how do you feel about that?
That was
you know?
one of the first things I was thinking is why I love that, is that he is not an infallible protagonist. And that is something you don't
Not
want.
like Captain Marvel.
But he does. He definitely feels beatable, and like it's the same thing with Anakin or Luke.
Yeah.
They took their losses and earned their wins. So it's a lot better for you to root for a protagonist like that. And I just don't think it's compelling to watch protagonists that kind of just gets it easily or just didn't necessarily earn it. It's one of the reasons I love Anakin and Luke's characters. So even like if you think about it, this is a little off topic, but with the Emperor, and the Return of the Jedi, that's earned, But I think the Mandalorian is really just a great character because of the fact that he loses. Any great protagonist should lose. So I like the fact that he's lost to the Mudhorn, to the Jawas. He gets thrown off the Sandcrawler.
Yeah.
But what I really liked about the Mudhorn is I think it showed a piece of his character, like how the Mandalorians will die fighting because he was about to
Yeah.
die,
Oh,
and he just stood there with that little knife.
Yeah.
He still stabbed him at the end though, which
Yeah.
I was still in disbelief that little thing could kill that big thing. But it's Star
Well, I mean,
Wars.
he's definitely an honorable warrior, as the Mandalorians are. Trained from kind of birth almost, and so and like we were saying, he's similar to the Spartans. In a lot
I would
of
like to see
ways.
more Mandalorian tech. Like,
I think we will.
Not like
But I think
Black Panther
he
type
had
of tech,
the-
you know,
Oh,
but
I
is
see
it,
what
if
you're
it's a
saying.
spear or if it's a new type of communication
He had the
or something.
flamethrower. he
That
had
was really cool.
Grapple thing, like definitely Mandalorian objects. And I get what you're saying. We should see that more.
That would be really cool. That'd be cool.
So where do you think this is going to go next? I mean, this is all speculation. 'Cause
Yeah, but BG called it as far as the second episode with the baby being force sensitive, which was almost a given, but very
knew
force
it was-
sensitive.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't really know. I'm just excited.
It's
but
going to grow because I've seen some.
I mean, there's stuff
Stills,
in the trailer.
yeah.
I would
I've
like to
stayed
see them
away.
even come out with maybe, like I said, a Cad Bane show. You know, who knows? Even the Obi-Wan Kenobi one would be cool, and they're gonna drop. We'll just see more and more. It'll be really interesting.
Cad Bane would make me very
And
happy.
imagine a Cad Bane show though, like Pirates of the Caribbean mixed with Star Wars. It would just be insane.
Yeah. I think we should talk about Yiddle though, as he's being called.
Okay.
Or maybe she. We don't know. But I think it's a really interesting choice just to have it in the show. I still don't know how I feel about it. Like if they end up doing something like I said, like last minute. Oh, it's Yoda's son. I might hate that, to be honest. I hope they don't. But I do think there's a lot I can enjoy from just seeing the kid. And personally, I don't like babies in movies or TV to be used to exploit cuteness. I don't. I genuinely just hate when people do that. But I gotta admit, it's a pretty cute baby.
It is very
It's
cute.
pretty cute.
And I don't think it's all CGI. I think there's an actual thing there, like an animatronic or a puppet or something like that they may touch up a little bit later.
Like original Yoda.
Exactly. And I feel like, and that's again what I'm talking about is I really like how they have real stuff in the shots and it's not added in later.
Yeah.
Because it translates to realness from actors and
I'm not 100% sure like what is and isn't fake with the Yiddle.
And that's exactly
But I
what's
do
right.
think it's a really good looking thing.
And when the
Whatever.
baby walks, dude, it's so cute.
It's cute. It's probably the cutest Star Wars character out there. But here's the one thing that I was a little confused about was the Mudhorn when he stops it and lifts it. I was like, well, who taught you to be that strong with the Force? Because generally in Star Wars media, they'll show kids with the Force kind of have bursts of power, sort of like superheroes too. Like they won't know necessarily what it is and how to control it, but they'll have it. And so,
But that could have been
somebody will
that
see
right there.
and kind of sense that, and then the Jedis will take them to like hone their skills and train them. But I mean, he just lifted that full thing up.
That's how powerful he is.
But
Because
I
look
was
how
gonna say,
long he
he's
slept
also
after too,
probably,
or she.
like, naturally,
Yeah.
It
really
slept
strong.
Because he was going to heal him
The
at that
race
one
is very
point.
Yeah.
force sensitive.
Yeah.
And they also said that the thing was 50.
Yeah,
Yiddle
yeah.
was 50, and I realized that at the end. I'm like, yo, this baby is 50. What?
Yeah. Here's the one other thing too. Like I don't want them to do is go the Kung Fu Panda 2 route where they show like a colony. It's like, well, the next Star Wars movie is just going to be a bunch of these. It would really cheapen one of the greatest.
But it'd be
characters
very
in Star
funny if a
Wars.
bunch of mini Yodas are just killing
I
people.
mean, yeah, it'd be funny for like 2 seconds. But,
Did you like that in the? I forgot which Star Wars it was with the Wookiees when we went to
Oh,
there.
Kashyyyk. Yeah, I mean, like that's.
Did that bother you?
Which one was that? That was a Disney
Revenge
one,
of the
right?
Sith.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think that's the same thing.
But they
because-
didn't explore it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is they just
It's
visited
just-
it.
it's
It's not
just
just
like a
that,
war.
They
It was
even
war.
mentioned like Han Solo and like A New Hope says something about or maybe it was Empire, but he says something about Wookiees.
Yeah.
Like Wookiees do this. Therefore, in that one line,
You
he's
know
letting
that
there's a whole
there's a
planet.
whole planet,
Nobody's
yeah.
ever been like, oh, the Yoda species.
Yeah,
Blah blah blah.
got it,
So
got
it
it.
kind of cheapens that, and it sort of demystifies it in a way. It's like, well, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it would be weird if they were just like, oh, here's the home planet. They've been here the whole time, and now that the plot has asked for it, they're conveniently coming out of hiding. Because
Mm-hmm.
clearly for the last 60 or something years in the galactic whatever's going on, they have not been in the pantheon. So I don't know why they would
Yeah.
just hop in now, unless it was for story's perspective. So it's kind of cheap.
And I don't know if they're ever going to take off his helmet, but I really like that they're saving. If they ever do, they're really saving it, and they're playing those cards like close to their chest. But I like how they didn't take it off just yet. I think it's still really cool.
I think it's going to be a big moment.
And
when
this
they
is
do.
another question I actually had from a technical standpoint. And maybe because the visor is curved and not very chrome, but are they doing a little bit of work to make sure the camera is not visible in the lens?
I was looking at that
because I was
too.
trying to see, because a
You
lot
were
of the
too?
dead-on
Yeah.
shots, you really can't see it. It's
I don't know why I was looking at it. I was literally
just 'cause
looking
it's a
for
mistake some
camera
people make,
reflection.
you know? You can see it.
I mean, it's like when you're in. I think it's a natural reaction.
Or that big of a
when you're in-
budget for an episode, you can. You know?
I didn't see a camera.
But I
That's
think
what I'm saying.
When you're in a TV show or a movie, like you have a natural reaction and look for the mirror. It's like who messed up here?
Yeah.
And you almost never see it because they're professionals.
That's what I'm saying.
you know?
So I don't know if
they'll fix
it's
stuff
maybe
like
the thing isn't very reflective, like the helmet.
They could have painted it out.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, I really like this episode. It was a solid follow up. I like some of the silence. I like that he's not too strong. And another one thing I loved about this episode that I forgot to mention in the first episode review is the screen wipes, which are such an important thing for Star Wars transitioning.
Classic Star Wars transitions,
different
though.
things.
Yeah.
How
Definitely.
all the different ways that screens kind of change is such a Star Wars thing. No other movie has that. So, and I feel like the sequels haven't done that very well. And I'm not just saying that because like to hate on it.
And I also would like to add that I love the new Star Wars guns, by the way, because going from A New Hope to where you got blasted and there wasn't even a laser hole, then this one you get blasted and you disappear. Yeah. That was the coolest stuff.
That was like, yeah, that's like if you got like a bullet that was a lot stronger than a regular bullet.
Definitely, but that was like it was a cool effect, and I appreciate it.
It was definitely cool.
He was smoking those Jawas.
Yeah, I love the screen wipes. It feels very Star Wars. Yeah. So yeah, I really like this episode. I'm gonna give this episode an 8 out of 10, and yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 9, just because I liked it. I think just the same as that. And as of now, if the season keeps doing it, it's probably gonna be a 9.5 for me in the entirety.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with. I think what did I say? 9.5 or.
I think it was a 9.5 all the way around.
I'm gonna stay with that in terms of because this episode it could have easily dropped me off. I would have been like, oh, it's not as good, but it was different enough. But it also gave me more Star Wars, and so I'm liking where it's going. So I'm still gonna be consistent and say 9.5.
Yeah. So yeah, if you liked this episode, if you saw it, let us know what you thought and like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.